Hi, my name's Annie, and this is week 3 of book packing. But before we get into the video, I'm just going to put a little disclaimer. The footage we're about to watch is from about 2 months ago. It's about a English class here at USC that I'm taking, where every week we meet on a Saturday and then read a book and then discuss the books and its themes, and it always has to do with something about Los Angeles. And then throughout the afternoon we take a little minivan trip to actually visit a place in Los Angeles. The week you're about to see is the week we went to downtown in Skid Row, but the reason you're watching this so late is because I didn't edit the footage for this week or pretty much any of the following weeks for about 2 months, and then because I got caught up with schoolwork and just put this on the back end, and then coronavirus happened and now I suddenly have a lot of free time and now I can edit these videos. So, just so you know, but let's get started. This is so cool. Hey girl, where are we?
We're at the Bradbury building, which is home of the Blade Runner final scene shoot.
The Bradbury building. I love school.
I love school.
So this is the Grand Central Market, and it's kind of this warehouse space in downtown LA with just a bunch of food vendors. I've come here several times before just to have food because it slaps.
Oh, whoa, this is, yeah, look at the stripes. Look at its eye.
But because we were technically in class, we didn't really have time to stop and eat, so we just started at one side of it and then met up with the entire class at the other side.
Sorry, what?
You know what G&B stands for?
Yeah, it's Landville Babinski. It's the Angela owner.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Of Bandini's hotel will be surrounded at that point by an entirely corporate world.
So right across from Grand Central Market is Angel's Flight, which is actually a book that was written. I can't remember if the book came first or if the track thing came first, but nonetheless, you basically just get on at the bottom or the top of it, and it costs $1, and it's really slow, but it's a tilted track, so that's kind of cool. One time I met someone on Angel's Flight where this woman, her commute was literally just getting on it. She works at the top at the corporate offices or something. And then after going to the top, we just went back down and then walked around downtown more. This was a hotel. I can't remember which one. We passed a couple and they were just fancy. We've been talking a lot about the architecture in Los Angeles and how it's a bunch of mixes of different styles. Geometric shapes are usually scattered around downtown, and they'll be Art Deco, so this is what we're looking at. Where are we?
Los Angeles, give me some of you.
Why can't the whole city look like this?
I know, this is so quaint and adorable.
What the heck?
She's adorable.
Oh, this would be cute.
Wait, look at up there.
I know. Oh, wow. Where are we? I don't know where we are. I've never been here before.
We've never been here. This is uncharted territory. We're in Europe,
but it's
actually.
Delightful.
We're in Europe. Look at bonjour.
There's a bonjour cafe.
We're in Paris.
Hello. I said that wrong.
And now we're in Italy.
Now we're in Italy.
At Caroselli.
We walked around downtown more. We passed by Cliftons, which is a pretty popular bar. We saw some protesters. I wasn't sure what they were protesting, but they were there.
It was near Grand Central.
And then we turned a couple of streets onto Skid Row. Skid Row is basically LA's neighborhood that's been established for over a century. People like to think Skid Row is kind of a new phenomenon, but it's basically just a couple streets where the people living there are usually homeless, struggling, but it's been there for decades. Along with the homeless, there's a couple social service providers there. There's the Volunteers of America, the Midnight Mission, the Downtown Women's Center, and we visited the Los Angeles Mission. As I learned in class, these kind of organizations or missions have a really interesting approach to dealing with Skid Row that I don't know if I necessarily agree with. They won't really look into policies that the city will do or long-term solutions to homelessness. They'll look at short-term housing, feeding people in the moment, and seeing what they can do for the people who are struggling now. So my favorite thing about this class actually is the homework. We write just a couple hundred words of reflection every week and turn it into a blog post. So I'm just going to read you the blog post I read for this week because I think it accurately described how I felt. It was like strolling through a Monopoly board game. You pass go and leave behind the luxurious purple properties like the roslyn at the end of the board. Start again at the cheap brown properties. Some people at Skid Row seemed kind and said hello back, while others whispered threatening warnings. You shouldn't be smiling like that. My professor said something very important. I think going into this trip that we were going to Skid Row to learn about, not look at. And I think that's kind of what I was getting at when I wrote that in my blog post, that humans are more than just bodies.
Thank you, my friend.
Cooper, CLO. Avocados.
Anyway, I'm not really sure what more to say, so I'm just going to keep reading what I wrote for homework.
Thank you, Joshua.
An unusually hot winter day, even for LA. A great atmosphere, grim walls, and a hopscotch game of avoiding feces on the sidewalk. The mission felt safe but uneasy. I was so aware of the fact that we were in a building instead of out.
Well, you know how it is when I show up. All right.
Break out the balloons and streamers.
I sadly must inform you guys I didn't win the lottery, but I'm still
That's
working on it.
all right.
I ain't forgot about y'all.
I'll keep on saying a prayer.
Whatever happened, big dollar for everybody.
Amen. How you doing, sir? And we got Thomas Courtney.
Hey, what's up, Jeff? I got the Vima.
It's a privileged dance to say that visiting Skid Row was a humbling experience, but it was. I wish we'd talked to more people on the streets or staying in the mission. Selfishly, I craved more narrative. The houses we built might be unrooted architecture, but they're houses. Homeless is a harshly bitter word. Despite not being housed, do the people living on Skid Row have a place called home? Is LA their home?